lot of folks enjoy a good love story. All that hugging and kissing and carrying on. Most men would opt for something more along sports or some action film, unless they get to play the hero in the love story. Hi, it's Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day 4 of the Torah portion, Chayei. Let's continue in Bereshit or Genesis chapter number 24. And in this chapter, we read yesterday about how that Eleazar was commissioned to go and to find the bride. And so Eleazar makes the qualification here. He says in verse 5, what if the woman refuses to follow me to this land? Let me read that again. What if the woman refuses to follow me to this land? What land are we talking about? The land of Israel. Do I then take your son back to the land from which you came? And Abraham said to him, beware lest you take my son back there. Don't take him where I came out of. As the story unfolds, we find that Eleazar does indeed find the bride. I have a question. Abraham is commissioning Eleazar to go find the bride for his son Yitchak. Where's Yitchak? It doesn't seem to be that Abraham brought him in to consult with Yitchak before he commissioned Eleazar to go find the bride. He doesn't inquire what color hair, eyes, what kind of personality. What are you looking for, son? He just sends the servant. Let's go back to chapter 22. In chapter 22, verse 5, it says, so Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey while the boy and I go over there and worship and come back to you. Now, reading that verse 1 would assume that after the worship session was completed, that Abraham and Yitchak would return. And yet, when we look at the text as it goes a little bit further, we find over in verse number 19, then Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. Where's Yitchak? He was laid on the altar. He nearly died. He was replaced. But from the time that Yitchak was placed on the altar until we read about him here in chapter 24, where the servant is returning, it says that Yitchak, in verse 62, came from the way of Be'er Lahai, where he dwelt in the south. He's been at Be'er Lahai. That's where Hagar has been last seen. What in the world is going on? What is he doing in the meantime? This is referred rabbinically to the blackout period. Some rabbinical thought says, well, he really did die, and his being was transferred to the Garden of Eden. It's possible that he just separated from his father. Maybe he didn't trust living with his father after Abraham nearly took his life. But let's suffice to say that Yitchak is now a living sacrifice. He cannot leave the land because the land is where the altar that he was laid upon is located. There is a connection between the altar that you're laid upon and you're needing to be in close proximity to that. So Yitchak, a living sacrifice, is out of the loop for a season. Meanwhile, the bride tries to figure out what she's going to do. So it would seem then that as a type of Messiah, Yitchak, being offered up, is now absent. He does show up again, but where? In the land of Israel. When Messiah returns, he is returning to the land of Israel. What's taking place in the middle? The search for, the requesting for, the gifting of, and the securing of the bride of Yitchak, or by type, the bride of Messiah. I find it interesting that as the servant goes, he takes 10 camels with him. Anytime you see something numerically mentioned as 10, it's a good idea to ask the question, does this have anything to do with the 10 tribes of the northern kingdom? Is this prophetically speaking in any way regarding them? Here, the 10 camels, they go to a place in exile. They kneel down to drink, and they are giving water of life. But they're offered this as an act, a result of the act of their humility. They're not there arrogantly. They come bearing gifts. They come as a servant. These are roles for the house of Israel, the lost 10 tribes of Israel, to keep in mind as your journey is to locate and return the bride. If we're not careful, day-to-day living, service to service, congregational gathering to congregational gathering opportunities will all be about me and what I can get out of it and what's in it for me. Instead of the servant heart that says, my role and my mission, now that I know who the Messiah is, those on those camels, they knew who the bridegroom was. They came with that message. We come to help locate the bride and to restore the bride back to the land, or to bring the bride to the land. There is a blessing of the bride, a finding of her, a blessing of her. Eleazar came and he brought gifts, and he came to not bribe her, but to enrich her, to reveal to those who hold the bride, she is favored and blessed. Release her to come and be joined to the bridegroom. It says that Eleazar came with his master's goods in his hands. Now, how is he going to bear all of the wealth and riches of Abraham in his hands that's going to be entrusted to Yitchak? The title deed, the scroll of the title deed is in his hand. This shows us again what is taking place with the scroll that is in the hand of him who's on the throne in the book of Revelation with the 7 seals. Oftentimes that's taught as that, every seal is judgment and it's wrath and it's pain upon the earth. That scroll is the title deed of the kingdom, at least in one way of looking at it, the title deed of the earth. And the one that is worthy to take it and open it up and to read the contents thereof is the one for whom is intended. That is the Lamb of Elohim, who receives all the benefits and all of the goods that are contained within that title deed scroll. And then Rav Shaul says that if we are in Messiah, that we're joint heirs with him. Why is that? Because we become part of his bride. The last thing that is required of the bride, of Rivka, is that she be willing to come to the land. There had to be the willingness to leave her previous identity, her previous relational associations, as Yeshua said, not loving mother or father more than me, and come to meet the bridegroom. She'd never seen him before, but she was willing to go, not because of the wealth, but because she knew this is my destiny. This is our destiny. We're not the bridegroom of Messiah for all of the goods that we get, but because of who he is. We've never seen him, but we're about to. More on this tomorrow. We'll see you then. And until then, shalom.